first-time home buyers to purchase a new home under that program. And here's why we really need this bill. It was just announced just this week that the median age of a home buyer in Connecticut is now 40. The median age for a home buyer here in Connecticut is 40, and this is up sharply from 5 years ago when the median age of a home buyer was 33. And I think about that a lot because my kids are all in their late 20s and early 30s, and none of them have a home that they've purchased. So we don't want that to be the case for our kids in Connecticut. We want to make sure that everybody has the opportunity to purchase a home. And we also just want to give a shout out to some of the towns that have been leading the way in affordable housing. And those are, for example, West Hartford, Norwalk, New Haven. And those towns are some of the places where most people want to go. These towns are having huge growth. They're some of the best places to live under all kinds of indexes. And so those towns are role models. The more affordable housing that you provide, the more people want to live in your town or city. So this bill is a great step forward because it's going to give all of our towns and cities the incentive to build the housing that we need. And with that, it's my pleasure to introduce a huge advocate of affordable housing, Representative Eleni Kavro-DeGraw.
Thank you to the governor and the lieutenant governor. Thank you to both majority leaders. I stand here sort of as a representative for both of the housing chairs and my wonderful co-chair in the Senate, Senator Rahman. We are very excited that we have finally gotten to this point, and I am certainly grateful for all of the people who are standing here today. But I do want us to focus on the fact that the people who are not standing here today are the people who are counting on us and who have been counting on us for years to finally address this issue. You may have read in the Connecticut Insider this morning the rather lengthy article about the state of homelessness in Connecticut and the fact that we lost over 130 souls last year to homelessness. You may be thinking about the fact that we have single moms with 2 kids working 2 jobs living in homeless shelters. I know I am each and every day. And so it is not just about the folks who are looking to purchase a home, and I believe the first-time home buyer number is actually over the age of 50 now, as opposed to other home buyers being at the average age of 40. And I just hope that as we are standing here and we are talking about how many voices were at the table, that we remember the people who have been voiceless for so long and in such desperate need of having affordable housing to be addressed. So I am grateful that we finally got here. I want people to understand that this bill has had such an incredible amount of input that for years many pieces of this bill have had public hearings. So we have heard from the public, we have heard from our towns, we have heard from our regional COGs. We are grateful to all of these organizations. We could not have gotten to this point without them. And one final thank you to the staff who quite literally did not stop since we got out of session in order to sit in those meetings with our leaders and make this happen for the people of Connecticut. Thank you.
You know, I just realized I gave a look to the birds and they got quiet. One big message in this proposal is the collaboration. It's the collaboration at all different levels. Our towns, municipalities, our regional council of governments, and the state. So I'm going to invite to come forward Joe DeLong, CCM Executive Director, and Betsy Gara, Cost Executive Director.
I think Betsy and I's role here today is to call up our municipal officials, both of CCM and Cost, and I believe the most important thing of calling up these municipal officials is for all of you to see the diversity of the people that are here. They're literally from urban, suburban, rural, Democrat, Republican, in every single town and corner of the state. So before we call them up, Betsy, anything you want to add to that?
Thank you. We're very pleased to be here today. I want to commend the governor's office, the governor himself and his staff for reaching out to us and making sure that we could come to a more workable, more thoughtful bill that will address some of the housing needs in our communities without imposing some serious burdens on our small towns. So thank you.
So the first person I'll call up, obviously Betsy and I couldn't do this work without the blessing of our membership and in particular our leadership. The first one I'll call up to speak is CCM's current president. It's been our board president for the past 2 years, Mayor Laura Hoyting.
Thank you everybody for being here today, and most importantly, thank you to Governor Lamont and Representative Rojas and Senator Duff for being open to this collaborative model. It's so critically important for everyone to listen to each other. And Governor, you did during COVID, and the mayors and first selectmen really appreciated listening to what we needed and how we could operate and what was best for the residents of Connecticut and the business of Connecticut. And this is another example of doing just that. It's not that nobody wants housing that's affordable. It's so critically important to our entire economic system. But sometimes when we're dealing with statutes that are so old and so laborious, we need a little something different. And I know that Jason has felt this way for a long time since we were in the General Assembly together, that it's not working and we've got to figure out a better way. But this time it was a little different. And the regional aspect of it is so critical, and our Council of Governance are a big piece of this. And so I'm really, really happy that we have gotten to this point, and we're working together even better, and I can't wait to see the outcome of this bill. Thank you for being here.
Next we'll bring up the current president of the Council of Small Towns, First Selectman Mike Frieda.
Well, thank you very much, and it's a great pleasure to be here. I hope everyone realizes that today's gathering is a symbolic representation of true collaboration, Republicans and Democrats alike. It started when we received a call, and I received a call on a Sunday from Governor Lamont's office, asking to speak with us and really telling us that he wants to understand exactly what we are looking at and what we see in our municipalities. There was a great example, ladies and gentlemen, what I think that collaboration is all about. Sometimes it's better to understand than to be understood. Through these dialogues, through these last few months, what we've seen is something come together that's very exciting. Something that everybody embraces. Our majority leaders of the House and Senate, minority leaders of the House and Senate, I'd like each and every one of you to know that we are all working together to create a positive outcome. It's easy to say, well, we can't do this or we can't do that. This group, all of us working together, have all agreed that is not an option to say we can't do this, we can't build more housing, we have this problem, we have that problem. We are looking for solutions. And that's what all of us standing here behind me have worked towards. Trying to create positive solutions that addresses a need, housing. I hear it everywhere. We all hear it everywhere. Whether it's affordable housing, whether it's more housing for seniors, whether it's young professional housing. This is what we're trying to accomplish here, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to thank everyone behind me, our governor, our lieutenant governor, the majority leader of the House, the minority leader of the House and Senate, the majority leader and the minority leaders. Working with us at CCM and COST, we are trying to create positive outcomes to benefit those people who need more housing. And that's what we're all about. Thank you very, very much.
One of the things that we hear so much about is how Connecticut needs to deliver services more efficiently, and the old conversation about regionalism or shared services. Well, the person I'm going to bring up next is the first ever in the state of Connecticut regional town manager that actually represents 3 small communities as their town manager up in the northeastern part of the state. So I'm going to bring Mary Colorio to the podium.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for all being here. And I want to begin actually by thanking Governor Lamont for his leadership and taking such a collaborative approach to this housing bill. When this legislation was first before him, the governor listened very carefully to the local leaders from the towns and the cities across Connecticut. He understood there were real concerns, and he had the courage to press that pause button. That decision reflected true respect for local governments and a deep understanding that the lasting solutions really come from collaboration, and that's what you see here. True collaboration across all avenues. It gave us a chance to really come together as a state, municipalities, regional leaders to craft a more workable solution that balances statewide housing goals with local realities. I want to sincerely thank the governor and his team for engaging with us every step of the way. I also want to extend my thanks to CCM Cost and our Regional Council of Government leaderships and the legislative leaderships in their strong partnership and advocacy through this effort. Their collective work in engaging with the governor's office, our legislative leaders, and that helped to ensure that the voices of all of Connecticut communities, large, small, urban, rural, were represented in this conversation. This teamwork shows what's possible when we all pull in the same direction. Housing is one of the most pressing challenges we face in Connecticut. It affects our workforce, our young families, our seniors, and the long-term vitality of our towns. Addressing it requires balance, thoughtful planning that respects what local resources there are and insight, while also promoting the regional opportunity and growth that we all desire to see. One of my concerns with the original bill was that the housing allotment per town didn't fully consider the availability of necessary infrastructure. Things like water, sewer, transportation. Many of the communities simply just don't have some of that capacity or resources. I am so excited to see the state and the governor working together in a partnership to really reach out and address those concerns, working with those smaller communities to be able to make those housing opportunities available and meeting some of those infrastructure concerns so we can walk forward in that growth. I'm really encouraged that this bill before them supports a regional approach, calling for a comprehensive housing needs assessment for every region and for the individual towns. Working through our COGS, which all of our municipalities work very closely with our COGS, we can plan based on real data, shared needs, regional priorities, because as the governor said, housing needs don't stop at our town lines. We know that this extends well beyond that. And that process is smart planning. It ensures that decisions are grounded in data, infrastructure capacity, and realistic growth opportunities. So for the towns that I serve Canterbury, Chaplin, and Pomfret. For the towns like those, this collaboration approach is really essential. We are small rural communities that share many of the same challenges and opportunities. Partnering regionally allows us to plan more strategically, make better use of resources, and ensure that housing development supports both our local communities and the broader economic goals. Again, my deep thanks to the governor, his team, our legislative leadership, CCM Cost, our COGS, and everyone standing behind me, because I know the time, the effort, the collaboration that had to go into this. This here is really an important step towards creating sustainable and affordable communities across Connecticut and in all areas. Thank you.
Let's jump from a small town representative to one of our larger urban centers, Mayor Arunan Arulampalam from Hartford.
Got it.
I wasn't planning to share anything. I thought I was arm candy here today. I'll say this really briefly. Like I had a conversation with one of our representatives when this bill was going through the legislature, and this person told me they were going to encourage the governor to veto it, and I said, why? And they said, well, we need parking in our community. We need parking in our neighborhoods, and it's going to completely destroy my neighborhood, my district. And I said, do you like how it is now? And this person said, yeah. And I said, well, the city of Hartford did away with parking minimums about a decade ago. And I think it's a testament to the fact that the fears of change are so great, but when they actually come, it feels inevitable, and it addresses a core need. Look, I think we all know the extent of the housing crisis that we're facing. I think we all know that people are struggling, and it is a responsibility of Democrats and Republicans to come together to address the needs of our residents. And that's what this governor and this legislature has done. And I'm here to support that. It doesn't actually have a huge impact on the city of Hartford directly, and some of you who are here, I see Jacqueline Rabe Thomas, have reported on the level of affordable housing we have in the city of Hartford. In my neighborhood, it's over 53% of our units, our housing units. And we need other communities to step up. But it also is something that addresses needs in every single community. Whether you're in Hartford or Chaplin, I think people are wondering whether their kids can afford to come back and live in Connecticut. They're wondering whether they can afford to raise families here in this state. Outside of this bill, I'm working with the governor's office on a plan to build home ownership in our city using vacant lots with $2 million from the city of Hartford and $2 million from the state to transform home ownership in communities that have never had access to home ownership before, that have been stuck in substandard housing for too many generations. There's so much to do when it comes to housing in our community, and I hope that in Connecticut, here in the land of steady habits, that we can break those habits and lead the way in this nation that is thirsting for a real solution to address the deep, deep needs that all families are facing. From Greenwich to Hartford to East Hartford, this is a problem that impacts all of us, and I appreciate you guys being here and deeply appreciate, Governor, you come to the table with the legislature and getting this done in a bipartisan manner. Thank you.
We're getting into home stretch, I promise, a few more. So we've heard a lot through this process about feelings and thoughts from folks in Lower Fairfield County. We do have a representative from Fairfield County who's been there a really long time, been a great member of CCM for years, was actually the president of the Council of Small Towns. I'm going to bring up Rudy Marconi from Ridgefield.
It really hasn't been that long. Okay? Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Governor, Lieutenant Governor, everyone who's spoken today, my colleagues. Lower Fairfield County, one of the wealthiest, if not the wealthiest part of the state, has often been criticized for not doing our share, for not supplying the housing that's necessary to create a diverse community. And I've lived through that. I lived through that in Ridgefield as a kid growing up. My father was an operating engineer, heavy equipment. We had a pickup truck, but we lived a great life. You can't have that today. We have no tradespeople moving into our community. The average cost of a home is $1 million. Think of that, $1 million today. How can a tradesman, how could someone coming out of school afford that? And that's why I'm so happy to be here today to get behind this bill, and hopefully it makes it through the special session, to provide people the opportunity to move into our town, to move into Lower Fairfield County and enjoy what we have to offer, raise a family, and participate in the community. I look at education as a critical component for all of our families. And that's great. Academic education is great, but along with that, you have to have a social education. And that's what our kids are missing in Fairfield County. And they come to me during intern programs and say, Mr. Marconi, we realize that we live in a bubble here. We recognize that the real world is really different. And they can talk that, and I think they see that, but they need to experience to get that complete education, not just academic, but social. And I think this bill is going to provide us the tools as local officials to make that happen. So I want to thank everyone here, Jason and Matt Fulda and Matt Hart, for their work. It's a great day for the state of Connecticut, and I'm thankful to be here. Thank you.
One of the great collaborators in our organization from the very beginning on this was our first selectman of Guilford, who was able to not only express concerns that he had with the original bill, but also articulate ways that he thought it could make it better. And that's really helped guide us through this process. And we've got Matt Hoey from Guilford.
I think it's afternoon now, right? I want to, on behalf of almost all of my colleagues, I want to thank the governor, his team, and legislative leadership for getting us to this point. In all due respect to my good friend Mike Frieda, sometimes it is better to be heard than hear. In June, I had an opportunity to walk around our beautiful center in Guilford with the governor prior to going to address a group of seniors. And this was in June. I think there was a decision weighing on his mind at the time, but he asked me for my opinion, and he asked for some specifics about what my concerns were. The first one that I mentioned to him was, look at this beautiful downtown Guilford. We don't have any parking. We don't have enough parking for what we do every day. And if that parking provision had gone through, it was going to exacerbate a problem in our town that our community is already looking for a solution. So, yes, it is nice to be heard too, Mike. I think it's been said a couple of times here. We appreciate that our concerns as municipal leaders were addressed, were heard, and the spirit of collaboration that took place over the last couple of months on this is one that we should all be very proud of. We feel that this bill allows for our communities to move forward to create more affordable and middle housing, while also addressing, and this is important, the unique characteristics, challenges, and constraints of our widely varying communities, which also, as Ben mentioned earlier, infrastructure plays such a large part, or lack thereof. So in a community like Guilford, we have done a lot of little things to get ourselves ready to develop additional housing. We have done what I consider to be the foundational work. Inclusionary zoning provision in our rewrite of our zoning code, density bonuses for affordable housing, tax incentives and deferrals for developers. We also have an affordable home ownership tax rebate program. And we have donated land to affordable housing developers. But we still haven't been able to move the needle significantly. So I think this initiative, this bill, will help spur us on to further success through the kind of collaboration that has been represented today. Thank you.
The goal is to bring up enough speakers that you'll be worn out and won't have any questions. So, you got two more, Governor? Give me two more. We're going to bring up the dean of the group that's here today, someone who's been holding office for a whole lot of years. Rudy said not that long. This guy's been in office a really long time. I think maybe before I was born. No, I'm not sure, but Mayor Mark Loretti of Shelton.
Joe, thank you, and good afternoon, everyone. You know, some of the speakers prior to me said they were going to be brief. I'm going to be brief. And I'm going to be brief because I concur with just about everything that was said here today. You know, if you're a local elected official, as I am, you're breathing a sigh of relief. And also, was also expressed today, many thanks to Governor Lamont. I also concur with that because, you know, it's not easy to stand up in the face of the state and veto something. But more importantly, once you do that, you stay the course and take it to the next level. We have a saleable product in this new affordable housing bill. Thank you.
And I think last but not least, unless I miss somebody and get in trouble, CCM will be electing a new president come 2026. Served our first vice president for a while. And from the very beginning, Mayor Mike Passero of New London, when it came to this bill, he said, look, 5002 is probably okay for New London. I kind of support it. I support the work behind it. But I also support my colleagues in the towns and cities across the state that have different issues to coming up for a collaborative solution that works for everybody. So I'm excited that he's going to be coming in as our next president of CCM with that collaborative spirit. Let me bring up Mayor Mike Passero.
Thank you, Joe. Thanks for the warning that I was speaking. And it's nice to go last when everybody has said everything. But on behalf of the City of New London, we've been growing, we've been building housing, we've been trying to accommodate the amazing growth of the economy in southeastern Connecticut. And this bill and the collaboration from all the parties we see behind us, and especially the support from, our great Commissioner of Housing, the Governor, the Lieutenant Governor, this bill will really help enable us to move to the next level. And we appreciate, I appreciate all the work that I witnessed between our partners in the COGS, our partner with COST, and all the great leaders that make up CCM. Working together with our legislators, we saw success in this process, and it's going to be success that's going to help the state of Connecticut solve this housing issue and provide for the generations that are coming after us. So thank you all.
So as you have heard, collaboration, partnerships is what it's all about. So we'll open it up for questions, or not questions, just kidding.
I have a question for Mayor Freeman.
Mayor, please.
I think everyone agrees that we need more housing, but there was a lot of pushback to this bill, right? A lot of cities and towns were concerned about numbers and being told what to do. What has changed? I mean, I'm sure this is a lengthy bill, but in your mind, what is the compromise that's embracing or attracting more people on board with this bill?
I think, Susan, it's a couple of different things. The reason this may have taken so long is sometimes conversations and collaborations, we have to work out some of the intricacies that have been problems from the beginning. When the governor first reached out to me on a Sunday, it was a Sunday I was in Milford, I'll never forget it. The governor's office reached out. We knew that we had an obligation to try to work this out. We got the two council of governments, Matt Hart, Matt Fulda, who really worked hard to put together a lot of different components that we were going to present to the legislative body. Jason was part of this, so we had Jason and we presented to him also. In the beginning, there were some impediments. There were some things that had to be worked out. As my friend Matt Hoy said, whether it's lack of sewers or infrastructure, these are the things that took a long time for us to iron out. Is it a perfect bill? It may not be, but it's as close as it can get to have everybody get on board. Because like I said earlier here, we have to create housing. Failure is not an option. And during this process, I don't know of anybody that said, of my colleagues, we're not going to do this. We can't do that. We had to try to find a way. And it took some time. It took effort. It took listening. It took the collaboration that we talked about. Are there going to be some things that are going to be a problem? Potentially. If we have a town that has no sewers at all, that's something that has to be worked out. So I think that what I'm saying is this. We had to spend a lot of time listening, understanding what the impediments were, and figuring out solutions, Susan, as to how we were going to change that and produce a product that everybody can live with. So I hope that answers it. Thank you.
Jason, are you satisfied with this as a capstone on the house? Sorry,
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I'm listening to the MC
Yeah.
here.
So, you have a question for Jason?
Yes.
Sounds
Okay.
like it. Yeah,
Go ahead.
absolutely. I'm happy to take it. Yeah.
Do you think this bill is as strong as the one you passed over the session?
No, I mean, I think when you have a veto and you go into negotiations, I don't think anybody should expect that the bill is going to be as strong or stronger. There was compromise that had to be made. It's not a painfully incremental bill, right, as I'm used to saying. It really reflects a lot of progress, and it gives us the ability to really move forward. And I'm less concerned about how we got here, and I'm more focused on the road ahead.
The numbers softened a bit. I mean, what do you think? I mean, I know that's very simplistic, and I know that you fought hard for this, and you're hoping that it pays off. But were the numbers softened? Because that's the thing that a lot of the cities and towns, they didn't want this number by certain date, you have to do this, but it takes into consideration sewer and other things. What softened?
Yeah. Well, there's still going to be numbers, right? We're going to do a new housing assessment, needs assessment. Our regions are going to do it, and then we're going to make determinations about how they should be allocated to our towns, and then our towns are going to respond and tell us exactly what is the number that makes sense based on local conditions and their local knowledge. So there's still going to be numbers out there. I think that was largely a distraction in the debate. The concern is fair to be expressed. I don't think it actually it needed to be as concerning as it was. And at the end of the day, the end result is going to be the same. We're going to have a better understanding, better information, better data that's going to inform planning processes at the local level so we can arrive at the outcomes that I think we all want to see.
Do you expect to go into back in the session next year and try again on some of the more aggressive measures that you wanted to see passed?
I want to get past next Wednesday, and then we can have a conversation about the next session. Listen, this isn't the end of the road for housing policy in Connecticut, right? That doesn't mean we need to go back to controversial things or things that people deem to be controversial. There's still going to be more work to be done. We addressed in this bill residential parking requirements. There's still the question of commercial, right? And we're standing on a place that's almost 30 acres of really underutilized surface parking and in front of a commercial building that's going to be converted to housing. And I think that's why we're here today. This is an example of, I think, work that still needs to be done because this isn't unique to East Hartford. There are towns across the state of Connecticut that have underutilized surface parking lots that really could be revitalized and reused for something far more effective and efficient.
Some of the criticism that some of the cities and towns said it was too cookie cutter, right? They felt that they were being kind of cast into a bigger net. Has that changed, that there's more attention now to specific situations within the cities and towns?
Yeah, I think the involvement of our councils of governments in this process, their governing bodies are made up by the chief elected officials of the regions that they represent. Having them at the table is something I deeply appreciate. I've always been a champion for COGS. Here is one more way that we should be leveraging the expertise and the knowledge that we have so that they can provide the capacity to our smaller towns and cities that don't have the staffing capacity to actually address a lot of the questions that have to be addressed so that we can actually result in housing getting built.
So do you want to go further on this?
Let's have one at a time. So I'm going to finish that question and then Jackie, you can ask.
Commissioner was a teacher once, though.
Yes. First grade.
I don't know who was.
Go ahead, finish.
I think it's.
Jackie?
You've been here before, first selectmen, chief elected officials promising to step up and then not happening. Why is this bill different than all other bills, or announcements different than all other announcements?
I disagree with your assumption. I think we're building a lot of housing. I want these guys with us on board, giving them the incentives they need to step up, giving people in the local communities a sense that this is where their town's going to be in 5 and 10 years. And that includes housing. That includes affordable housing, a diversity of housing, a workforce housing. So I think you're a little dismissive when you say this is just more of the same. I think this is a very important bill that gives people the incentives. They know that the state's going to be there as their partner when it comes to sewer and water, higher reimbursement on schools, more rail, train stations. We're there doing everything we can to give you the incentives to build the housing we need.
Is there anything that changes in the bill that will make building as of right?
The commercial to residential. I think that is going to be able to speed up quite a bit. Units less than 16 units in terms of parking, that able to speed that up as well. Look, I understand how regulation can really slow things down. I come out of business, I understand that, and that's particularly true in housing. I think we've got a way that we're able to make sure we work in collaboration. That was the word I heard 30 times, collaboration, and that's how you get things done, working with people.
I noticed there's a lot of first selectmen and mayors here. Are any of the housing advocates here, or any people who provide homeless services here that can speak in support of the bill?
Sure. Anybody? Please come up. You've been paged.
Kara is one of the service providers.
Say who you are.
Yes.
Hi, Kara Capone, CEO of Community Housing Advocates, which oversees both Mercy Housing and Shelter as well as my sister's place, delivering services in both Middlesex and Hartford counties. We're excited by any form of housing legislation, quite honestly. All we deal with on a day-to-day basis is seeing women and children coming in who cannot afford a place to live, getting priced out of their neighborhoods. People who have 2 jobs, who are the working poor, are now experiencing poverty in levels they've never seen before. You couple that with the SNAP cutoff and all the new people that we're seeing coming in now. I've always said that food insecurity is the canary in the coal mine to housing insecurity. And so from what we're seeing on the ground, we know, and we have known in Connecticut, that housing is an issue. It's at a crisis point. And so any movement to get more housing into more areas to provide families and individuals with opportunities to get better and do better, then we're all for that, right? And, personally, I'm in a family where I have a dad who lives in a great town and there's no housing for him because he wants to downsize. From that perspective, I love it as well for that. So is it everything we hoped for? No, but that's what happens when you have to compromise, right? And so hopefully we'll be able to, and we always do, work with our town leaders and our representatives to make sure, at least from the homeless perspective, that we're able to get people into housing quickly.
Anything you want to say, Pete?
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm Pete Harrison, Connecticut Director of the Regional Plan Association. I do want to acknowledge that I really appreciate the governor keeping his word to call a special session after the veto. I can't speak for every housing advocate, but we were certainly all disappointed in the veto, and we're really encouraged. And what I'm hearing today is a bipartisan consensus that what we've been doing in Connecticut has not worked. And I'll be honest, that hasn't been something we've always heard from folks up here. So I'm really encouraged by this. I do think the bill is an improvement. And as Majority Leader Rojas said, it is not the end. It's not the beginning of the end. It's the end of the beginning. This has been a crisis building over years, over decades. It's not going to be one bill. It's not going to be one local reform. It's going to take years to get us out of this. So certainly from the housing perspective, the advocate perspective, we're really encouraged. We want to see this get passed on Wednesday, but we have to get back to work at the local level, the regional level, and the state level. And advocates are excited that there are a lot of people up here that recognize what we've been doing is not good enough. I think the state has opportunity to step up, the regional COGs have an opportunity to step up, and local leaders have the opportunity to step up. We're going to be partners to make sure they do for all the folks in Connecticut that are suffering. I'm sure you all heard we did a poll about the housing crisis. We timed it very intentionally. 90% of people in Connecticut do not think we're doing enough on affordable housing. The majority of people in our local communities don't think our local communities are doing enough. So there is a real hunger from folks in Connecticut on a day-to-day level, whether you're a renter or a buyer or prospective buyer. So we are encouraged that this is a good step, but it is just one step, and we have a lot of ways to go, but this is a really good start, so we want to see this get passed.
Mayor Marconi, can you,
Who did you call?
Mayor Marconi.
Marconi.
She's gonna.
Can you repeat it, please?
Social education of
Yes.
the children in your, as you said, wealthy school district as one of the benefits of this bill. Can you expand on what you mean by that?
Sure. What I meant was when I went through our school system, I could be sitting next to someone whose dad was a carpenter or mom worked in a bank or trades. And today you don't have that. We lost that component, that socioeconomic diversity that really made our town what it is today. And that wave that came through of increased housing and demand and the shortage of land and therefore jacking the prices of everything forced people out and didn't allow others to come in. Young people, old people couldn't stay there, young people couldn't move in, and the lower rung of the ladder relative to that socioeconomics disappeared. And that's the education that we all need to prepare our children for, because the real world is different. It is made up of all of us from all walks of life, and that's what we need to prepare our children for. So it's not just an academic, but it's a social education that allows them to be successful in their future. This isn't going to be easy, by the way. Hopefully, as Representative Rojas said, next Wednesday is positive and it's a step forward. But the work is going to fall on, for example, the West COG Executive Director, Francis Pickering, to pull us all together. And we are all different. We're 169 municipalities. We've been criticized because we're all silos, but we have our own identity, and we want to maintain that. To take this on and to actually make something happen, as Pete just mentioned, he's going to keep the pressure on us to be sure we get it done. And it's going to be hard. We have NIMBYs. We have people that feel they work very hard to get where they're at. Why should they have to have something possibly devalue their home if it's built next door? None of that is true, but it's a conception that people have. So we have to educate those people in our towns. As Pete said, they all recognize that we need to do more affordability, but when it comes to it, they say, do it over there, right? Well, we can't do that anymore. And this bill is going to help us take that step and have people face the reality of the housing needs in the state of Connecticut. And we all have to share in that equally. Thank you.
So what is Ridgefield going to do to share that burden?
When is Ridgefield? We're working on a TOD right now. We passed it, we've done the zoning, it's in the final stages, and we're looking at developing that whole area because I think our rail stations represent a tremendous opportunity for mixed housing, mixed use, commercial, retail, upper level, lower level, middle income. On the branch line in Danbury, I'd like to see that someday become an hourly train back and forth from Norwalk to Danbury, taking advantage of Norwalk Community College, taking advantage of Western Connecticut State University. Providing all of that transportation helps alleviate the traffic on the roads too. And that's all part of it. We can't build a one-legged stool. We have to look at housing, we have to look at jobs, we have to look at education. All of that goes together. Thank you.
Thank you. One more question, otherwise we're going to move to off-topic.
I have a question for Matt Hart. With the work of the COGS, we've heard the COGS being mentioned of their support. Can you go into a little bit greater detail of what that looks like and what you're excited about and what you're going to be working with your other COG directors? Thank you.
I'd be happy to do that. Matt Hart, Executive Director from the Capital Region Council of Governments. Certainly want to thank the Governor, the Lieutenant Governor, Representative Rojas, Senator Duff, the Commissioner, Representative Cavros DeGraw for their great leadership in helping to bring us to this point. So speaking for the 9 councils of governments, we are united in our support for the concepts of this bill. And we are really looking forward to rolling up our shirt sleeves and working hard with OPM and our towns to conduct those regional housing needs assessment and to come up with targets, realistic targets for affordable housing for each of our communities. And then more importantly, working with our towns over time to implement concrete strategies to achieve those goals. And we're going to be able to use our planning expertise and our ability to bring people together to make that happen. You know, speaking for my region, I want Hartford and West Hartford and Canton and Simsbury all at the same table, working together to help achieve affordable housing.
East Hartford too.
East Hartford as well. All 38 in the greater Hartford region. So excited about that opportunity. Thank you.
All right. So that's the last question. And then
Hey, Jace, how you doing?
Good, how are you?
Did you see any mandate from the election on Tuesday, Democrats winning overwhelmingly, related to affordable housing? Do you see a connection there at all?
Yeah, I mean, I think the broader theme that we saw on Tuesday was really about affordability in general. And I think one of the biggest contributors to concerns about affordability are housing costs. It's one of the things I think you take for granted when you're stable in your housing. But suddenly when you experience job loss or you have a health issue and you can't take care of a basic need, I think it's really resonated with people. And I think it is a part of what we're seeing in terms of what people expect policymakers to do.
Do off topics over there. For real?
We need lunch breaks.
Don't do it.
Ask Rob.
Okay.
He's just Rob. All right. Thank you. Really great. Good stuff. I think we are. Stick around for lunch if you like. You can't walk away. Yeah.
How's it going?
Now, where are we going? Oh, salute. Back in Hartford. You know where that is? Lindsay, thank you. Really nice. We'll work on this. I know how nervous when I started some 6 months ago. I don't know. Rudy, we're going to go to Salute for lunch if that's of any interest to you. You're good. Okay.
We also
You guys get you enough space on the side? Space, good. Anybody need a white? No?
You're doing a great job.
Doesn't matter. How are you? Congratulations.
Not nice.
I don't know, maybe. We'll see. You never know where life will take you, you know?
You never know where life will take you. Is that what you Okay, so we're not there, we're here.
What's that, Jimmy?
I was asking if you're going to have a full list of everything you guys are.
We'll put out a release on Monday. Everyone's going to get the bill tonight, so.
Okay.
Governor, can we get your reaction to the SNAP ruling yesterday and the Trump administration's decision to appeal it and drag this out?
Stop dragging it out. They've been on again, off again, on again, off again on SNAP. You get a partial payment, a full payment. I just authorized our department. We're going to fully fund SNAP through the end of November, and we'll see what happens from there.
The full $72 million?
Yes.
When will that go on cards?
I think
As soon as
within 4
possible.
days.
So
Very
by
soon.
early next week,
Yes.
we'll have
Yep.
that money?
It's just been this herky-jerky back and forth is driving people crazy. Let's take care of people. We can afford to do it.
You kind of had to wait and see feel the other day. What changed over the last couple of days that you decided to fully fund it with state?
Just the constant back and forth. I thought we were going to have it fully funded 3 days ago. I thought the court said you're going to get partial funding. They can't make up their mind. We've made up our mind. We're going to take care of the people on SNAP.
And surplus money.
Yep. Yeah, if we have a deficit, deficiency at the end of the year, we'll pay for it out of the rainy day. Hopefully they can solve this thing and get the government back in action very soon.
Aside from
SNAP or backfilling and also the housing, will be done?
The SNAP, I've already authorized DSS to do what they've got to do, so I don't have to worry about the special session for that.
And this is at the announcement yesterday of the federal judges said, when can Connecticut see some of that money? Is it on its way or?
That's the problem with these guys. You don't know. Obviously, the federal government's appealing that. How long will that take? We may get some indication by the end of this week. I can't wait any longer.
Aside from the shutdown and the issues with SNAP there's also a lot of Connecticut residents who, under the Big Beautiful Bill and the work requirements, won't be able to access SNAP any longer. Will you address that with the funding that you've allocated?
Let's do one step at a time. Right now, we're fully funding SNAP through the end of this month and longer if the federal government can't get its act together. As you point out, they have a lot of variety of work requirements that are very complicated, and we're just looking into that now.
As you feel, are you excited to file your paperwork today and ready for a campaign over next year?
Yeah, Susan and I are ready to go. You'll have more
Absolutely.
details on that next week.
Can you tell us why you
I didn't want you to have to ask me any longer.
Can you tell us why you waited so long? You were going to do it in July. You were going to file the paperwork today. Why did you wait so long?
We had some really impactful municipal elections, and we're glad they're over with. The people of Connecticut have spoken very loudly, and now we can think about what's next.
When can we expect an announcement? Next week?
In a week.
Yep.
In a week.
And will you be participating in public finance, or are you getting out the checkbook again this year?
One step at a time. We'll get you the details starting next week.
The filing the paperwork today, what time?
I think as we speak.
The state submitted a bid for Waterbury Hospital this morning. Can you just talk about what that means to that community and why it was so important for the state to step in?
We had to work really hard after what Prospect did to that hospital. We've got a very strong bidder. It's called UConn Health. They're ready to step in. Now it all goes to the bankruptcy judge, but I want people to know Waterbury Hospital is going to thrive and under new leadership.
How Comptroller Scanlon said tax forgiveness would be part of that deal. How much did y'all agree that the hospital owes you, and how much will the state be forgiving?
I'll get into the details on that at a later time. We've got to go back and forth with the bankruptcy court. But I want to make sure that Waterbury Hospital gets going free and clear without a lot of debts to pay off.
And the state legislature will have to vote on that tax forgiveness. Will that be part of the special session?
That will be part of the special session.
Okay.
At least the bonding we need, yeah.
The bond, so not the tax forgiveness?
I don't know if I need that as part of special session. I'll get back to you on that.
Okay, thank you.
Special session, you're looking at lawmakers approving the $500 million from the reserve fund. What is your spending plan with that with regards to SNAP and LIHEAP? How conservative or not will you be with spending there?
Look, Susan and I have said, particularly when it comes to the shutdown, we want to step in and help people. You know, SNAP only got clearer for us in the last day or so. LIHEAP, we said we're going to be there to backfill people. Most other states are not able to do that. Same with WIC.
And WIC, yes, good.
Head Start?
Head Start, let me take a look at that.
Governor, I understand there's going to be a proposal to expand the Trust Act in the special session as well, looking at the policy that the courts put in place and some data privacy stuff. Are you on board with this, or are you worried that that's starting to go too far?
No, we're on board. We're taking the lead on this. I think the data privacy is really important. Susan and I want people confident they can go to a hospital and their privacy is going to be respected.
Will there also be the policy that has been put in place with schools? Is that something that you're open to making a statewide law that, similar to courts, you need a warrant, no masks, things like that in schools?
I think what we're going to do in terms of the courthouses, where you can't walk in there wearing a mask, you can't arrest people in our courthouses, maybe also in terms of parking lots that are a part of the court system, I think we probably will try and get that enacted. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Nice to see you.
Yeah. So just to clarify.
Sorry, do you mind if I...